All right. Not as late as I thought I'd be. Let me make sure this is actually working. It's called lag, people. There we go. Great, great. One waiting, that's probably me. Might be the girls, I don't know. All right, this is the 5 May afternoon question and answer stream. Guys, I didn't get any questions. How am I supposed to do a question and answer session with no questions to answer? Oh, excuse me. So until I get a couple of questions in the chat, I'm going to do a little bit of cruising. There is actually something out there. Thanks. I didn't just happen to find it. I kind of knew where it was. No, there's not. There you go. I knew it existed beforehand. I just didn't even think, here we go. And share screen. Window. Okay, there we go. Okay, let me make sure that's actually sharing. Great, 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 good. So what I was saying this morning about starships, you see these sections as they're marked. Let us presume, for the sake of argument, that this is the port side. What you have here is 6 spheres that have been lined up with a ring between them, a frame, a hull frame. This is the most stable possible design in the universe. Spheres are the strongest design, and this is the way to turn a sphere, which is inefficient for human practical use, into something that is efficient, a tube. Right. It's just a string of spheres all grafted together into one long line. All right. Let me see if I can pull up the rest of these images without blowing up my computer. To actually get into this a little bit more deeply as a measure of how they would have to operate, especially in reference to military vessels. But I'm not going to today because, wait, it's a little above our collective pay grade here. Oh, nope. There's actually one more I'm going to want to show you. All right. For the sake of argument, let's assume that this is that same civilian ship. You notice that there's the long tube and this yellow and red line that goes down the center. That would probably be the keel, which is a long tube around which the rest of the ship is built. Whether it's a tube of 2 inches or 200 feet depends on how that keel gets used. That would keep the hull sections in line to one another. Hi, I see you there. You might be the only one that comes in today because I didn't go around making sure everybody knew. Since yesterday was May the 4th be with you, which is High Holy Day of Star Trek fandom. Today is Revenge of the Sith, except I don't care. Bring them on. And I'm doing a practical science fiction world theme. All right, so let me see if I can do this without blowing everything up. Right here are two humps that stick out. On the bottom is one hump that sticks out. Those would probably be the wings that are used to mount the various thrusters and other things that need to stick out of the hull to keep her going in a specified direction. All right, I'm going to stop that one and see if I can pull up the other one. The other one's a little more complicated. All right. Let's bury it a little bit deeper in this website. I believe that's the right one. Nope, that was not the right one. Damn. And by the way, this is the afternoon streams are supposed to be for questions and answers. So by all means, ask any not ridiculous question you can think of. No. That's probably, yep, that was the right one. Okay. Share screen. Microsoft Edge tab. Red. Make sure that's coming through correctly. Great. Wonderful. About anything appropriate to mandatory carry and related circumstances. So use a little judgment, but yeah, almost anything. Yeah. All right. So this is a hypothetical cargo ship. Each one of these little boxes is actually a shipping container. You'll notice that back here, there's what appear to be red and yellow marks. Those are probably thrusters. And up at the bow is another one indicating that this vessel is getting ready to make assuming that this is her starboard side, negative angle maneuver, which means she's about to go nose down for whatever reason. And it really is pretty much this simple. This is the cigar shape that I was referring to this morning. I happen to know how this artwork was created, so it's pretty shit. Okay, guys, I made the artwork. There will always be bad people in the universe, whether they're religiously motivated or financially motivated or motivated by something else. Let's go to the Star Wars analogy. How did Anakin turn evil? Well, he was so obsessed with Padme that it turned him to the dark side. Literally, love turned him into a monster. Abuse and horrible people doing horrible things for lulls turned me into a monster. The difference between me and Anakin is I made a decision. I should have probably been a purple lightsaber and former Sentinel, but oh well. You know what? I'm a yellow. I'm okay with it. Now, there are people like me who make a very distinctive and decided choice. Yeah, I'm a monster, but I'm going to be a good monster. And we find people who can hold our leashes. As much as I talk about the nature of me and Fix's relationship, there is something else that I don't often say. I turn to Fix for advice on situations where I know I should probably be using my fists to solve it, and she talks me back down. The one time I really didn't need her advice was the 6th January rally. I actually kind of, hi, Rat Row. I actually kind of wanted to go, but something told me, wait a second, this doesn't actually look right. Something's wrong here. And then 2 days later, I see Antifa has already started to infiltrate the event. They want people to go to, oh, that told me don't go. I hadn't even told Fix about it yet. Ironically enough, a couple days after that, we were talking on the phone, and she said, "You're not going to DC, are you?" No, why? Good, because Antifa. Yeah. No, I got that message already, babe. Okay. No, Rat, I am actually not talking about you. You have to have a degree of mental illness to think of the kind of awfulness I'm talking about. So, oh, Rat Row, meet Mixed Girl, Rat Row. Okay. Hey, by the way, Rat, when are you going to come out with your next music video? All right. Moving right along. I had to catch up with the chat. Um, Mixed, if that's better art than you can do, um, you would need a ruler and 2 pieces of tape to draw a straight line. I'm just saying. I know what I'm capable of and what I'm not. Okay. Where was I? The the central topic of this morning's live share. Oh, I use StreamYard, so sorry. That's oh wow. I bet you I could share this screen. Becomes a de facto training session. Let me see if this might just work. Aha! It's working. All right, bear with me a little bit. This is what I'm actually supposed to be seeing. This is what is going out over YouTube. Obviously, this over here is the comments. Down here, where it says stop screen. A moment ago, it said share screen. When I click on that, it has a pop-up that shows what's available. Windows or browser, I think, are the 2 options. And I go through the browser and pick the screen I wanted to share. YouTube does not actually allow screen shares off of their system. I don't know why. And there's settings in this box here. I could remove all of this. This is not what I anticipated, but I'm okay with it. I can actually change the layouts. Kick myself entirely out of here. Oops. Let me get that back. Oh, this is the layout I typically use because it's the one that generally works. But, well, I typically use in the morning. I might start using this one in the future. On and on and on. Okay, I hope you're seeing this now. Give me a second. I hope you're seeing what I'm seeing, because what I'm actually on is the YouTube tab, not the StreamYard tab. Okay. Well, I'm not sure if this is going to show up or not, but if you go into YouTube, you can pop up. It says that in the chat, there's 3 little buttons off to the side. Click on that. You can pop out the chat. And okay. So I'm going to stop the screen now and share Microsoft Edge tab. And there it goes. The chat is now permanently in the stream at this point, but I'm going to remove it. Also, you have to have, watch this. You have to have the chat as your top window, or it will, well, okay, so it was caught up at that point. Or it won't refresh. I don't know why that is. All right. Yes, you should definitely try it while I catch up with the rest of the chat. It's too hard to do comedy on YouTube when YouTube no longer allows people to be perceptive, which is a necessary ingredient for effective humor. Except that you can't spell because you're Aussie. Yeah, you're right. Which is why I go with very nasty words in my username. Believe me, that's not the limit of what I'm capable of. Who was SJG? No, your screen did not look like that, Mixed. Which view option is that for the audience? Well, the one I think I like is screen layout. Picture in picture is not bad, but you got to be careful to make sure it keeps working. And news layout is the one I normally use. Okay. I did not realize this was going to become a StreamYard tutorial. But that works too. Okay. Drone tech. Okay. Good to know. Never heard of any of them. I assure you there's tea in this cup. That's the only thing I can assure you. Moving right along. People will do bad things for love, money, Laws, religion. Okay, a flag on the play. I'm about to say something that will drive Apple absolutely up the wall. And this is one of those times you guys should feel bad for Apple. Uh, Apple, I'm not trying to make your life difficult this time. Okay. But normally you would be deserving it. So, guys, yeah, a round of thought for her. Okay. Any religious system can be corrupted. All right. Just because you call yourself a Christian or a Jew or a Jain, that doesn't make it true. You could still be an adherent of Satan or a follower of true evil intent or whatever the hell you want to call them and still call yourself whatever you want. I claim to be a Christian. I also am telling you I'm going to hell. I might be a Christian. That doesn't mean I was a good person. Totally different concepts. It doesn't mean I'm a Satanist. It means I'm a horrible person, and I've always been that way, and I will always be that way. I accept it. I deserve it. But there are people out there that call themselves a particular religion, and they are the actual literal dictators of their country. And they are not what they claim to be. And I'm talking about Iran. Again. Yeah. Iran is ruled by a satanic cult. And I say cult as in the worst possible connotation of the word. And because they have actual cross sea, all right, which is Greek, I believe it was. It was Hellenic Greek word for rule. They make the rules. They're in charge. That means they control the money. They do control the laws. They can do whatever they want, and you cannot go over their head. The worst part is it may not be a corrupt regime because those religious zealots are actually in charge. They burn people alive for pissing them off. They truly mean. Okay, Rat. The first and third Thursdays of the month, I do 2 live streams. One at 0200 your time, which is 0800 my time, so you're 6 hours ahead of me. The other is at 1700 my time, which would be 0900 your time. As Rat puts it, being Christian has nothing to do with being a good person. Some of the worst people I've ever met were Christians. And I'm up to speed on the chat. Ironically enough, as a person, one of the best people I ever met in my life, right? He gave to charity. He was kind to people. This, that, all the other things that any Christians should espouse. He was all of them. He was an avowed Satanist. He wanted to go back to his Lord. I can't go any further with that. The man was an idiot. Well, he still is, last I checked. But anyway, all right. As we leave this world, and I mean physically, humans load ships up with cattle and trees and seeds and all of the other things that we'll need to move into the rest of the universe and spread out. And we're going to take people like that with us. Whether it was the gentleman from Washington or people like me who made hard decisions and have decided to live with them, or anybody else, the Mother Teresas and the Hitlers of the world. They are going to go with us. At some point, they will have some kind of influence on their societies. We have to be ready for that because, the desire for power corrupts. There's the ancient saying about power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And then there's the more nuanced idea that power in and of itself does not corrupt, but the desire for more power does corrupt. And these people will find ways to gain power. Getting into my nerdiness a little bit. There's an episode of Star Trek Next Generation where Enterprise heads... Hold on a second, guys. Something just interesting happened. Okay. All right. Enterprise heads back to... Oh, damn. I forgot the name of the planet. But it's the one that Tasha Yar came from. On this planet, for whatever reason, a drug pandemic, legitimate pandemic, exploded and took over the entire planet. Now gangs rule the underground passages. Some are old sewer systems, some are different service tunnels, others are new construction or, new tunnels. On basements that have been joined together, whatever. While the drug lords control these huge arcopolises, I guess, above ground, where they battle each other for control over territory. The desire for more power has corrupted this world to the point where it's a legitimate hell. Those places will happen. And you watch and see. There will be people say, we want to build a new world of peace. I was about a year old when Star Wars 4 New Hope came out. And the Death Star destroyed Alderaan for the first time. Okay, against the power of a Death Star, Alderaan had no chance. I get it. I understand. The rebellion didn't win with thoughts and prayers. They won with X-Wings and a type of weapon that makes a nuclear bomb look like a firecracker. Very, very powerful use of physics in action. Proton torpedo, splitting protons or whatever it is they do is just, TNT is here. Nuclear explosions are here. Proton is way the fuck up here. The people who will say we want to build a new society of peace, either they're lying to themselves, which is what I was doing back in the 90s when I tried to force myself to believe this shit, or they're lying to you and they're plotting something a whole lot worse than merely making your lives difficult. the best and most effective way to maintain absolute power over the people is to disarm them. Machiavelli warns us about that too. He also warned us that by disarming them, you anger them. Well, then you build fortresses to protect yourself against them. And then they go out and find allies abroad who will bring their armies, and you can the oppressed masses can give aid and assistance to those invaders. But if there is no outside army to bring in, how are they to raise these forces? That was one of the scenarios of the Battletech universe. Yes, you could bring an outside force in, but it's a prohibitively expensive proposal for the invaders. And they've got to make this invasion pay itself off rather quickly. It's going to cost them billions of C-bills? I think it's C-bills. To invade this planet, they got to recoup that investment or they're going to go bankrupt. Okay. So, typically speaking, they won't. The planetary governors need only build the fortresses needed to hold the people at bay long enough to send their own forces to reoppress the people. Then what are they supposed to do? Everybody go on strike at the same time? That's not going to work. With my assumption that there is life out there somewhere and is avoiding us like a plague because they know just how backwards and stupid and probably relatively violent we are. Once we leave this world, they are going to fucking lose their shit in a way that we can't foresee today. They're going to actively attack us. And now we have to defend ourselves too. Oh. Bernie says, the news media is doing a great job trying to get the people disarmed. He is absolutely right. All right. Back in 1991, when Joe Biden's Senator Joe Biden proposed an assault weapons bill, because the news was lying to us and I didn't know the difference, I believed all this shit about mass shootings and drug lords and all the ands. Just skip it over. Skip over it. All the ands that they were telling us. And that's why at the time I was saying, okay, let's give this idea a chance. Let's see if it works. It's only 10 years. Let's just see what happens in 10 years. Well, they lied to us. And in a rather calloused way. And they're still lying to us. You notice how over the last, Bernie, I think you're the one in chat most likely to have a good answer here. Over the last 6 months, what would you say there's been about 10 mass shooting stories? Maybe 12, somewhere around there? You notice how they've suddenly picked up again? Rat Row is an Aussie, so he may not have seen it. I know Mixed has seen it. Bernie will have seen it. You Americans will have heard all about how all of a sudden there's all these mass shootings. Yeah, no, there hasn't. There have been murders, and there have been large scale murders. But a mass shooting is really a unique phenomenon unto itself, where somebody goes to XYZ place to kill as many people as he can randomly. He's not here to kill a former coworker or current coworker or a ex-lover or a somebody that he perceives has done him wrong. He went there just to kill people. The live action Doom. All right. And instead of just addressing it the way it really is, like the Westfield shopping town is a legitimate example of a mass shooting or attempted mass shooting, depending on your metric. Mine is no, it's not attempted. It was this limited success. Versus the damn, it's the other major example I love. Damn it. A hospital in Pittsburgh. I believe it was Pittsburgh. There was a psychiatrist there. Yeah, a psychiatrist there. He was the doctor assigned to a man who was being considered for going back to prison. His opinion of this man was he needs to go back. He's a danger to society. The doctor knew this guy was not going to take the news well, so he brought his gun with him to work. He worked in a gun-free zone. The doctor ignored the rules, brought his gun with him. His patient showed up. He gave him the man the bad news. The man took his own gun out, shot his social worker. She's dead. Shot the doctor. He's injured. Doctor ducked behind the desk long enough to retrieve his own gun, popped up, and shot back. Ironically enough, the doctor was not fired. Normally, for violating that kind of rule, it's an automatic termination for cause at that. The hospital said, no, we're not going to fire him. Okay. Yeah, the doctor knew exactly how this guy was going to take this news. He's going back to prison. How do you think he's going to take the news? Of course he's not going to take it well. Shit. You call up that sheriff's office that arrested me back in 2016, or if they called me up and said, hey, we're going to rearrest you for this thing that happened, I'd be pretty pissed too. And that's just going down to the jail. I was pissed that I had to go back to the courthouse. This isn't even the jail. This is just the courthouse to finish this business out. And it pissed me off. And yes, Rat Row, in case anybody is confused, deserts get really fucking cold at night, even in the middle of summer. Ask me how I know. All right, they may not necessarily get that cold. And Australia is in their winter. Oh no, you're in your summer right now. That's right. Still, it will get cold at night, especially. Also, Southern Australia, I believe, is actually technically in the, or well, not just technically, in the Arctic Circle, isn't it, Rat Row? By the way, this happened so long ago. I'm not sure Mixed Girl was even born yet. Me and Rat Row are about the same age. Me and Burnaby, actually, I'm quite a bit older than Burnaby. Yeah. If Burnaby was born yet, he was very, very little. I mean, I wasn't even an adult when this happened. And in answer to your question, Rat, if you check out Discord once in a while, I could tell you. Um, Bernie, I know you've heard the story a million times about the doctor who took the gun to work. I would really greatly appreciate if you could Google that real quick and pull it up and drop it in the chat. Yeah, I'll fucking do that right now. At least for a little while. Oops. Well, yeah, it's good enough. At least long enough to do this. Yeah, mixed is southern hemisphere is exactly opposite of ours. So our winter is their summer. And for what it's worth, it took a Aussie YouTuber 3 tries to finally get that through my head. Why are you wearing a sweatshirt in the middle of summer? Well, because it's winter here. What? Oh. Okay, so it wasn't quite that bad, but I'm 40. I was like 43 at the time, and it just wasn't connecting. So yeah, it took me a few tries to. Oh right, Australia. You're Australian. You're an Aussie. Okay. 45 minutes now. So if you guys have questions, I'm actually really hoping somebody will ask me about sci-fi weapons tech. Just throwing it out there, maybe. But not so much about the ships because that's a little above my pay grade. I know the concepts. I don't always know the engineering. Ironically enough, I was watching something on TV earlier today that talked about what is it, IXS Enterprise, which is the computer model that NASA came up with. That should work. No, there is no actual IXS. Oh my god. People, please, 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 if you walk away from this stream and ever in your life say that NASA has a top secret starship called Enterprise, but don't tell me about it. I'm happily ignorant because no, there's not. She's a computer model. That's it. They don't even have the engineering to build the hull yet. They're working on it. Uh-oh. I better not have a Trek Wars battle in the chat, guys. Because Rat, I'm both. I am a lightsaber carrying red shirt. No, literal red shirt. Coast Guard damage control team. turnout gear. Part of it is an actual red jersey. And that fire retardant hood that smells like a million people wore it before you. And the huge, huge gloves, which are really, really warm. Oh. Yeah, well, you're hey yourself, rat. So what would you know? Moving right along. God damn it. You should feel bad for Apple right now. All right. Legitimately, you should feel bad for her. No, this morning you shouldn't, but moving her along. Okay, we got about 15-ish minutes. Okay. As we move into the next stage of human existence, we are going to have to leave this world, and there's no logical reason on earth or in the heavens to believe that the rest of the universe is going to be happy that the hairless monkeys escaped and are wreaking havoc in the rest of the universe, especially if we expand at the rate we historically have. Historically, humans went from a community of about 2,000, maybe, individuals to several million over 3 continents in only about 1,000,000 years. Then we went from that to every continent on Earth except Antarctica, where we may have made some early attempts to go to, but those all failed spectacularly in about 100,000 years. Here's a reality of the universe, guys. Just accept it. The reality of our world, anyway. Once Euros left Europe, Euros exploded across the globe in 100 years. There were Euros on every continent on Earth and in control of about 3/4 of the world's landmass. That's the reality. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's the reality. No, this is not a racist rant. It's just natural fact of the universe. Once all of humanity does come something resembling together and we expand off of this shithole we call a planet, we're going to be in every corner of this galaxy within about 10 years. We are going to be moving so fast that we can't even keep up with our own expansion rate. And if there's any intelligent life in this galaxy, chances are real good we're going to roll them up like a cheap carpet by whatever means necessary. Okay, Ratro has asked, what fictional books, movies do you think most accurately represent our current timeline? To be perfectly blunt, I haven't followed any of those that you've offered. I'm going to go with 1984, or at least that's the direction we seem to be headed. But there's a little bit of Hunger Games, Idiocracy in there too. Of course, it is 1984. Idiocracy is more of a mean-spirited parody of the universe of 1984. So, yeah. And as Robin Williams once put it, we come to Earth looking for intelligent life. Oops, we made a mistake. But in any case, we're capable of leaving this world. All right, guys, that is about an hour, which is what my budget allows. I might go a couple more minutes. You guys can throw a couple of last minute questions at me. Right. There is something I wanted to address. We are not going to leave this planet until we figure out how to deal with certain very real problems on this world, or in the universe, not on this world. Getting away from the problems on this world is part of the reason why we would go out there. I'm just going to share a little bit of this. Extreme Black Widow pulsar detected just 3,000 light years away. That is very, very dangerous. And we are going to have to figure out ways to find these long before they become a problem for us. That is a really cool graphic, guys, by the way. All right. Stop that screen. This morning, I talked about how they're building a wall around SCOTUS and how Machiavelli warned us, you only build castles if you fear the people. Okay. Clearly, they are afraid of the people and what the people are going to do as a result of the leak. To double down on that, when I first saw this headline, I thought, oh, this must be good news. This has got to be good news. There's no way this could be bad news. You cannot imagine my chagrin to find out how wrong I am. Progressive Young Turks host says she's done with Democrats, including the Squad. Disgusting, feckless. Wow, that's great, Anna. You're starting to catch on. Now, I want to emphasize, because it is outside of my general wheelhouse, I try to stay away from the abortion debate. Right? It's at arm's length. I have my own opinions, but I have no personal or professional opinions. One of the stars of the progressive digital outlet, The Young Turks, expressed outrage towards Democrats over their inaction on protecting abortion rights. I don't even have to finish that sentence. This is the reason why they have to build a wall around the Supreme Court. Okay, I'm going to go over the chat real quick, guys. Okay, Retro. Brave New World also sounds a little bit like THX 1138. I believe we are headed really in that direction more than any other. No, I do not have a paid version of StreamYard, which means I only have 10 hours per month. If you don't know, it's probably a free version. It was a cool graphic. If you were part of this regime, wouldn't you fear the people? Yes, because I've been fucking up so fast that I can't even keep up with my own fuck ups. It takes some real talent to be that incompetent. And then there's the election fortification. We'll talk about that later. I may have been buffering, guys. And yeah, well, I have not seen the remake of THX, but I saw the original version. I've got a funny and interesting story about THX 1138, but it's for another time. Short version is part of it was filmed on a Navy base. And all of the extras were drug addicts. No, I'm serious. All of the extras were drug addicts. But anyway, yeah, if I was a member of the Biden regime, hey, DJ, been a while now. Welcome back. Have you been listening in all this time? Yeah, the last few weeks and just not said anything? If I were a member of the Biden regime, I would be in absolute shit brick panic, which is why they put a fence up around the White House first. Okay, I want to highlight this one. Butane. Well, that's an appropriate slip of the tongue there. Freudian slip. Putin and Biden are working on the same team. It's not just them. All right. And for what it's worth, I have expressed my relative support for Ukraine. That doesn't mean I'm stupid. All right. Zelensky is the invasion of Ukraine is what a chess player would call castling. In chess, there's a rule. If your king is in danger, all of the pieces between your king and one of your castles are gone. You can swap the two for position, thus protecting the king at the possible sacrifice of a rook. Excuse me. That's castling. The invasion of Ukraine was they, them, those people, whether it's the globalists or the World Economic Forum or Iran, which is what I always fucking say, and people are tired of hearing it, even me. Don't feel bad. Go ahead and say it. I know. They're castling Russia with Ukraine, and I don't know why. Because this is not just 3D or 4D or whatever you want to call it chess. This is also many multiplayer chess. Imagine having 50 people all playing the same game of chess at the same time in 5 dimensions, which is theoretically not possible, but work with me here. Why did they castle Russia with Ukraine? I don't know. I really don't know. And I'd be very curious to find out. That's a bad pun, but it's not that bad. Yeah, he might find out that he was the rookie that they sacrificed. And it may not be a full sacrifice when it's all said and done. But they definitely wanted to protect Russia by putting Ukraine in some sort of danger. And we don't know why. Think about the food and energy crisis. What is it being blamed on? What is the real cause of it? That was Rat Row. You know, Rat Row, if you would get on Discord once in a while, I would love to pick your brain. Like the movie, the the Bottle of Chianti movie. God damn it! Enter the Dragon. No, that's a Bruce Lee film. Which one am I thinking of? But anyway, so I know there's a couple of people that hang out around the channel that also follow some other people that I'm not on speaking terms with. Yeah, go back and tell him, go back and tell Matt what I said. Silence of the Lambs. Thank you. I want to pick your brain, Silence of the Lambs style there, Rat Row. And rest in peace, Bruce. Okay. I have said it so many times that even I'm sick of hearing it. I'm going to say it again. I do believe that there is a huge terror attack coming. That it will make 9/11 look like a practical joke by comparison. It will consist of mass shootings in multiple cities and multiple states. Maybe not the 200 cities so 200 mass shootings, all within about an hour at most from first shot fired to last shooting starting, and about 5 hours total. 5 hours of terror. Wow. That's enough to blow your socks off. But it gets worse. And I call it 9017 because I have always expected it. Well, I expected it in September of 2017. It didn't happen in September of 2017. I have a theory as to why. Come back to that in a second. It's coming, and you need to be ready for it. I'm going to let you all in on a few little secrets. First of all, it was built around the idea that it would target the United States to exclusion originally. I have since conceded that I might have been wrong. That it might be even an intercontinental thing, Europe and North America, and maybe part of Asia. The African and South American continents will probably be okay. But all of Europe, all of the United States, except maybe the flyover states, every, like Europe, there's a couple of countries that will get passed over because they're too small to be bothered with. The United States, the so-called flyover states, just won't be as effective a targets. In Asia, Beijing will be targeted. Absolutely. How many more targets are there that are worth the trouble? Fewer. Not as many. All right. None of the Russian Asian cities will be targeted. They're not worth the trouble. They've already hit Moscow anyway. What difference does it make? I think Pakistan and India will be hit very, very, very hard. Oh, Tokyo will be targeted, but Tokyo may not be targeted quite as pointedly. There'll be a mass shooting in Tokyo, but it'll be more of a, yeah, we saw you there too. I think Hanoi will be hit very, very hard. Ho Chi Minh City will be hit very, very hard. As a real way of sending a message, yeah, there is no actually safe place. We smashed the shit out of the United States already, right? But we want to remind you that, yes, even you small countries are not outside of our notice. And it is coming eventually. Yeah, I know I say eventually all the time. It's only 5 years late now. What's a couple more years? A very big suggestion I would make is to stay out of your state capital and your state's biggest city. Like California's triple fucked because they got Sacramento, they got San Francisco, and they got Los Angeles. So get the fuck out of those three cities. I know what long pork is. Rat row. Have you noticed how the U.S. is depleting its Stinger missiles and etc.? I've heard a lot about that. We have a huge stockpile. I'm not convinced that we've come anywhere near depleting that stockpile. We have, however, tapped into it pretty heavily. The U.S. has been invaded by military force from a certain peaceful religion and the CCP. I'm not going to be so circumscript. Iran wants the United States destroyed, period. End of discussion. They have since 1985, when the Great Satan speech came out. Apple, don't even look at me wrong right now. I'm already not liking you enough. You know what I think of you in reality. Don't provoke me anymore. As for the dangers from the CCP, yeah, they don't like us too much, but they need us as a trading partner. An attack is inevitable. It will be multi-pronged. Well, not if it's terror. Terrorism, you lose all your soldiers, so what? They're terrorists. They were literally that kind of disposable. Coordinated attacks against the US, UK, yeah. And we have to remember global leaders from the West are all working on the same team, and it ain't ours. Even without external threats, US and West are done. We are not done until we quit fighting. Keep fighting. I don't know how many times I say this, and I will keep saying it until I am literally dead. Keep fighting. You don't even have to understand why at some point. At some point, we are literally just fighting for our survival, and we're going to win the battle that we wanted, and we're going to have to stop fighting. Then we're not going to know how. Because we've been fighting for so long, we forgot how to stop. Bernie's brought up an interesting point. The warranty has lapsed on most of the inventory. I assume he's referring to Stingers and Javelins, by the way, and etc. It'd be a lot more efficient to burn them up than it would be to tear them apart and recycle them for parts. I'm just saying. That's part of the reason why we gave the Mujahideen back in the 1980s all those M1 Grands. First of all, because it was easier to explain where they could have possibly gotten grants literally everywhere. Buy 2 in Colombia, buy a dozen in somewhere in Africa, buy a couple of cases in literally downtown Moscow. Not even a problem. You get a couple hundred of them pretty quickly that way. But also because we couldn't use them anymore. And it got them out of our inventory. It's as simple as that. And Retro, if you want to try to propose a mandatory breeding program, first of all, good luck. I will fight you on that. Second of all, I'm enough of a masochist that I would actually entertain the notion. Okay, I'm not sure what relevance that has. Retro, you know that I'm not actually white, right? I know what my face says. I also know what 23andMe said. And I'm like, 3% Korean? The fuck did that come from? I still have not been able to explain how I'm 3% Korean. What? So it is what it is. And survival is a cause to fight for. At the end of the day, that is the only thing we're actually fighting for. For those of you that follow the entertainment kind of news, Keith Raniere is getting possibly... Okay, good. Keith Raniere is possibly getting a new trial because it turned out the FBI the FBI planted evidence on him. Not may have. What I've seen, absolutely, they planted evidence. They fabricated evidence. Keith Raniere was the head of NXIVM, which was a organization. It was a sex cult. Okay? It really was. I don't care. I really don't give a shit about the sex. I give a shit about the money. What he was doing with that money was not okay. Right? He probably does belong in prison because of what he was doing with the money. With other people's money specifically. Yeah, shocking, right? I'm shocked to discover gambling in this establishment. You're winning, sir. Oh, thank you very much. He may be getting a new trial. I've been following Nikki Klein, who was one of his adherents. All right. She got fucking rolled. What her so-called friends did to her should actually be a federal offense in and of itself. There were people who tried to turn her into some sort of leader of this organization. No, she wasn't. Without getting into the details too deeply, because some of you simply aren't old enough to hear this sort of language, I knew a little bit about NXIVM before it happened. Like 2005-ish? 2006 maybe? Yeah, around 2006 is when I was introduced to this new guy and told to stay away from him. I was very pointedly warned, stay away from that guy. He's bad news. Okay. I took the warning. Other people never got the warning. As this thing started to develop and I started following Nikki, I saw how they were treating her. I heard about how they were treating her. I made a meme. Going back to Star Trek, there's an episode where Picard is captured. Why is it always Picard is the one who's captured? He's being literally tortured by the Cardassians. The one is telling him, how many lights do you see? Picard says there's 4. The Gull shocks him and says, no, you're wrong, there's 5. He does this for like 3 days. I made a meme showing the Gull with the 4 lights behind him and the words, there are 4 lights. Now, I originally made it for her. So if you see it out there, you know what? That's actually hers. All right. She was talking about how the people around her were trying to gaslight her. And from what I'm seeing, yeah, they are. And it's not the things I'm seeing from her. It's the things I'm seeing from reading the original federal indictments. Not indictment. Criminal complaint. Yeah, they were trying to gaslight her. Even the fucking federal prosecutors were trying to gaslight her with, and it is what it is. No matter what, guys, remember, there are 4 fucking lights. And even when you see 5 lights, spit in their face and tell them there's 4. At the end of the day, there's nothing they can do. You see 5 lights, spit in their eye and say 4. Just to be that guy. Okay, Rat Row, you can stop now. I got the message. Like if you retire, you won't be prosecuted and lose everything. No, Rat Row, nobody can troll here. Because I'm a fucking asshole. It's as simple as that. In case anybody's confused. Ooh, shit, I'm a little over. Okay, in case anybody's confused. None of you can call me the kind of language I want to be called in the chat. I know that. That's why I depend on Discord so much. That's a place where you can call me the KNF. All right? If you think mandatory carry faggot is the worst thing I've ever been called in my life, guess again. That's not even the worst thing I call myself. So no, you can't troll me. You will treat my other guests and the other members of my chat like human beings. You can treat me like a piece of shit. I could fucking care less. It's really hard to get kicked out of this dive. You got to work for it. The only person who could pretend to claim otherwise would be Adam, which I don't think anybody hanging around now still remembers. He got kicked out day 1, but that's because he caused trouble over on Discord. And then thought that I was so stupid I wouldn't realize that it was still him. Come on, legalize. I'm not as retarded as you are. Oh, and he's still banned, by the way, from the channel. All right, guys, I got to wrap it up. 917 is coming. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is coming. Whether I want to believe it or not, it is coming. So, keep calm, build your get home bag, and mandatory carry on, guys.